Hey, welcome to my video. This is a write-in on the wall with me, Jennifer Roberts, and I appreciate you all being here and listening. This is a talk, a pondering. I don't know quite where it's going to go. It's just going to go where it goes. The false light that I spoke about a long time ago coming forward with the duality of everything, there is a huge amount of enlightenment coming to those who are open to it, to those who are able to understand the things that are coming through that enlightenment. But we've seen the spell work. We've seen it work very, very well on the mindsets of many, and there is no judgment in that. There is no ridicule in that. It is more a case of being able to openly accept it without that judgment, without that ridicule. Otherwise, we shut people's minds off, we shut their ears off, we shut their eyes off. They go into a defensive mode. One thing that's coming up for me hugely is this false light, and I was always questioning whether it was regarding to Trump, and always sort of came up with the same thing, that he was just doing his role in setting the groundwork, him being one of the key players of setting the groundwork of taking the Americans' guns. That is being shown. That is him saying, why can't we just do it now? Various things like that that do not actually reflect the marketing, the spell work marketing that they did regarding Trump, hooking into people's wants and needs to feel respected in their country, to have a country be proud of what it is, and it is a beautiful country. To be able to have that diversity, to be able to have that strength that they previously hadn't felt, and hook that onto the saviour complex that I've mentioned in the past. And that was a great deal regarding Trump. You'd see the memes where he was being depicted as Jesus, or you would see the memes where he's being depicted as a Viking king. You know, all of that adds to the momentum that gathered to switch people off. It got people fired up, but had their eyes completely turned away from what was really going on, from the ground that was being prepared, from the selling off of America, the same way that the UK has been doing. And that's not acceptable. You know, it's not acceptable what has been going on. And I've been feeling this brewing, and I want to talk about the connection. It came up for me a great deal a few nights ago, the connection with Saudi Arabia. Look back and really dig deep into the wordings, the connections that Saudi Arabia and the relationships that they had with Trump. I.e. releasing a lot more of the missiles that they'd previously been told they couldn't have, being able to set up these deals, big deals, great for the country, money, money, money. But in fact, it was part of the selling off of America and making sure for this World War III that they seem to be brewing upon, that is coming, for the right countries to have the right apparatus to then go and do the wounding, the killing, and other various things. So I want people to look deep at that again, the connection. There's lots there to find. The connection between Trump and Saudi Arabia. More than even Trump, I want you to look at the connection between Jared, I think that's how you say his name, Jared, his son-in-law, and Saudi Arabia, and how much more control Jared actually had and Trump's wife actually had. There's so much more there to be found. I just know it. And so there's that to look at. Look at a journalist that went worldwide when they killed him in a Saudi embassy, where he should have been safe, called Jamal Khashoggi. Seemingly a great man who was whistleblowing on what was going on regarding Saudi Arabia and the connections with various different countries, and played a part in them no longer getting missiles and things for a while. They killed him brutally in the embassy, and you know, there's been no answers to it. Look back to that time in news and things like that, where everybody else was very much vehemently putting Saudi Arabia down and calling them out on it. Trump was very carefully saying, yes, it's awful, but you know, we don't know what happened. It was very clear what had happened. We have the transcripts of what had happened. We have the sounds of the man being cut up. That's what we have. And so Jamal, actually, unfortunately, I just felt this when I was doing this digging into my psyche. I just felt that it was such a, I think everybody knew the loss, who knew him and knew the work that he'd done. But more than anything, it was a much greater loss than we realize. He was one of the cogs that would have really spun the wheel out in order to get the truth out regarding the connections and the danger that we all face when kings like the Saudi Arabian king are empowered and given the power and apparatus to do what they will. 1 second. 1 second, baby. I'll pause this. 1 second. Pause. Hey, sorry, I had to do something for Theodore. So yeah, dig deep into Jamal Khashoggi and the connections, particularly with Jared, who was puppeting those connections with via Trump, using him as a conduit to get the deals that needed to be done in preparation for what we are building up to now. It is very dark. We all know the way women and certain minorities are treated in Saudi Arabia, and we know that he's a very determined king. And I want you to look at the fact that if you start digging into this, if you look at the documentary, which I then looked at after having these intuitions, if you look at the documentary regarding Jamal Khashoggi and his death, it is upsetting, but if you look at it, you can see that he goes to every length. There is such wealth. When Jamal was starting to break through about the truth and trending and having millions of followers and everybody who knowing him is saying what a good man he was, that he wanted better for others. He had a lot of power once he got out of Saudi Arabia to be able to speak the truth. And so he spoke about the fact that this king was very clever. He was much more modern, much younger. And so he did things that seemed to signal freedom, like allowing some women to have driver's licenses and things, but not doing anything about the fact that if their husband or the father or anybody who's been man says they can't drive, then they still can't drive. But he's very good at learning how other countries have done it with the propaganda and the tricks of looking good. But at the same time, what he did was to try and diminish Jamal's messages, diminish those, the 22, I think it was, men who helped him. He actually set up a call center that rivals, Apple or any other call center of a big capacity. And all they were employed to do all day was to make sure the tweets trended, and the tweets had to trend to reflect the greatness of the king, and belittle the fact of what Jamal was. And so this shows you that the power within that, and he's very much clocked on to the new powers of the blue veins of the Ethernet, the internet, to be able to reach people's minds in a way that the previous rulers, as bad as they might have been, could not do, did not understand. And so the impact of this is huge. It's a point in our history that we do need to look back at when we are considering, if you're willing to consider, what my psychic intuition is, that this is a false light coming. There's been preparations made, and we're going to start to hear more interviews from Trump. We've had the ghosting period. I'm going to go into that in a second. We're going to start to hear more headlines regarding Trump pushing the vaccine even more. We're going to start to see him getting certain, just being around more, being in people's consciousnesses more. While Biden runs the country into the ground and affects the world in doing so, people are going to still have elements of that spell work that was done, or full entire elements of that spell work that was done on their minds regarding Trump and his family. They're going to be so desperate for hope. They're going to be so desperate for safety, to have everything that he promised regarding their country, that this is where we will see the real reason Trump was around. And if enough people jump on that bandwagon and allow that in, then that would be the next stage into World War III. It will be the next stage into the final takeover of one of the greatest countries, most diverse countries, full of beautiful people country in the world. And that is America. And America does affect the world. It's so big. It's got such a powerful military. It does affect the world. And the decisions that are made there do affect the world. We have to remember the people behind, even the people like Trump, the people behind the beings, behind people of all politicians, of Hollywood, of all of these things that go into trapping the mind of the people. They don't have borders. They don't have affiliations with countries. They absolutely feel, from the generations before them that came in and hijacked this realm, they actually absolutely feel that they own this place. They own all of it, and they will divide it and have people proud of their countries and make people feel like they have some kind of power in their countries and to protect borders and whatnot. But they don't have any affiliations. They feel like they own it all. Nobody is special in their mind. And so they are playing out this narcissistic journey with America. And the UK government and royalty having so much to do with it. It's disgusting how much their tentacles are into all of this. And so to be aware of that false light when it comes, for anybody who'll listen, tell them to start looking into the connections, because I just know that if people start looking into the connections and the speech, the speaking, the type of words that Trump and Jared stuff were using, in that time regarding Saudi Arabia, it'll unlock a lot of truths and maybe help people from not falling for that spell, and maybe help the world to not enter into something that they are brewing towards, that they're brewing about. Let's see. Look out for Iran as well. Iran really retaliating to Israel right now, and things are being really quiet about that, weirdly. But they've thrown bombs over there, so look out for that also. Let's see. So tell me what I need to add on to this vision, or add on to this enlightenment. Tell me what I need to add on. Okay, you're going to drop on the floor. So the Queen of Cups. I'm not going to pick it up. Queen of Cups. Following your intuition. The fact that it dropped on the floor. Following your intuition and not being guided by your own inner light, and not by a false light that looks and sounds real good, but is actually just coming back to fulfill a space that they were destined to fill. Tell me what else I need to say. Tell me what else I need to say. Guidance, what I need to say. Okay. In the rapture, you know, like how people you know, are desperate in Christian circles and whatnot for this rapture, when in my eyes that's always been a harvesting of souls, which is exactly what's going on right now with the roll up the sleeve that I've kept saying. I'm glad that the people are talking about it. It's a little bit like that regarding this re-emergence of Trump and the effect that it will have, that people will march happily to death, to oppression, to slavery, to take over. Okay. So plans are in motion with the Three of Wands with this aspect, and this is where we will start seeing those interviews, those quotes, things like that, the encouragement even more so than already, for people to have the roll up a sleever, to be able to, you know, because it's backed by Trump, and it's a good thing, seeing more of that, and we get the death card with that. Now the death card, very often you know, it doesn't mean death. In this case it does. There is a lot of death already happening, and the push for this, with this false light that is surrounding Trump fulfilling his purpose, and the Jared in particular, is walking into death. It's walking into the death cult. And I know this might not be the most popular thing to put out there, but I put out there what I know I need to put out there, because that's my job. That's what I do. Decisions would need to be made with the Lover's card, and I know Trump is a Gemini like myself. This is representative of a Gemini. Decisions seriously need to be made from a divine and sovereign place, rather than following a leader to a place of death. Because this death is marching towards the Seven of Pentacles, and even that is representative of the death of America as it's been, as it was, as it has the potential to be, without these idiots in charge, without these puppets there, you know, the abundance that it could have, but the decision to be backing him right now, to still be wishing he was back, will affect your whole life, your business, your capacity to earn, if this mission is fulfilled. And this is just one of the next stages, I feel, in this whole process of world domination. And so be careful how much you are, if you are, or if you know people who are, if they are literally building their business around, you know, supporting this man, that is going to affect you greatly, regarding certain truths coming out, or regarding the opening the eyes and seeing the ramifications of it on your own streets. It affects the home, it affects the heart of what America is, with the Four of Wands. And so making a decision regarding you, your life, and you and yours, regarding your home, the people that you love, the things that you love around you, how you love your life to be, is very, very, very dependent on if you, in the many, make that decision from a place of your own divinity and sovereignty with the Lover's card, in order to create the death card energy into an energy of growth, into an energy of letting go of that doesn't serve you as a country, as a peoples, and being able to sustain and build abundance, hard work, yes, for your own home, for your own safety, making sure that you can keep your home safe. It's the one place, you know, that those guns are still there and are still a very valuable resource. And he came after your guns. Look it up. He came after your guns, while very cleverly not looking like he did. So the groundwork is there for that. The Nine of Cups speaks of, in this case, very wishful thinking, I think, in that hopium that people are talking about, that, you know, that, and it's just out of a place of a wanting and needing of a saviour. Okay, so the Page of Coins, yes, so it's a more immature energy, and wanting the best again for the home, for your family, you know, and him seemingly representing that. There is some correlations to what is going on now, Two of Swords, the decision to be made, but, you know, don't be blindsided by the propaganda. there's some sort of correlation. I'm just going to put it out there because often I put things out and it's other people that say, oh, Jenny, you put that together. This is what it means. And that's great. That's why I love this platform, this place that we're at where we can have this dialogue, particularly in the comments and outside of this platform. Lots of you are in touch with me and I love that. There's a correlation to be looked at and something to come up from the reflection, the reflection of Melania, is that Melania and Trump and Boris and his sidekick Carrie, his fiance. It's coming out more and more that this Carrie is forcing and making decisions. She was never elected in. Stupid decisions that are costing the taxpayers millions, coercing things, like getting people to let go of people because she doesn't like them. There's a correlation that Melania is much better at covering that up, but she has connections that would be interesting to look into, history that would be interesting to look into, just as Trump did. Look at where he went to school. Yeah, there's a reflection there. It's a synchronized thing that these two men and the women behind them. And so put in the comments what you know about that or how you feel about that or what you find out. Come back to the video and let me know, or email me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. I think that's about it, but I can't stress enough without being... It's been such clever spell work and such clever marketing of the man, because it's very difficult for me to be as freely spoken as I would normally be, because I don't want to hurt people's feelings who have got this hope, who are still hoping on this man being what he was projected to be. But I can't see anything else. So I can't stress enough how much of an impact this is going to have in the coming months, this false light coming forward, and the devastation that it creates. And before it's sort of known, before people start seeing the results of that, there's been too much done. We need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of these people in the UK too. How much do we need to? You know, we all know people in our community who are such integral people and have such integrity and honor and honesty. Yet we can't put, you know, any of them in the highest positions of power in these countries. What does that say to us? I know some people that are just so honorable and honest, yet they can't and won't and don't fill those spaces because people are hungry now, conditioned now for the propaganda, for the marketing, for the spell work. They're not conditioned to look at people like my granddad and think, wow, what a man. And that's where more of where we need to go to, rather than going into this false light. So I love you all. I appreciate you all. I'm just going to put this out there and see what happens. Subscribers will probably go, phew. But the truth's got to be out, and my truth's got to be out. And if you resonate with it, great. If not, okay. I appreciate you all for being here and listening, though. And if it does resonate with you, you know, do some research and speak your mind to those who you feel may be taken down by this false light. I appreciate you all. I've said that before.